Hello, it's Helen from Journal with Purpose and welcome to my latest video. Today I'm going to share a flip through with you of my bullet journal pages from December and talk you through how I'm setting up my journals for next year. So I'm using a Rhodia Gold book which I keep inside this personalised cover from Start Bay Notebooks. And one of the things I love about these gold books is that they tend to last me about 6 months in the way that I set my pages up. So I'm going to come to the end of this journal at the end of December, and then I've got a new one set up for January. So this was using my printables from Patreon, and I start off as always with my monthly calendar where I write down either appointments and things that I've got going on, or I make a quick note of different things I've been working on. This is where I set out my main tasks for the month, and then right at the end of December I will fill out things like my social media stats and do a quick review. Behind that I have my master task list for the month where I break down all of my tasks into things for Journal with Purpose, social media posts, HR work and things for me and around the home. Behind that I have my gratitude log where I write out about a line or two every evening of things that I'm grateful for. And then I have my habit tracker, and I adjust these from time to time to try and make sure that I'm really focusing on the habits that I think will kind of get me going in the right direction. Behind that I then have my Be Proud pages where, again, just like the gratitude log, I write down a line or two every evening of small things that I've been able to get done that day, or perhaps I'm proud of myself for the way I've reacted to a certain situation, anything like that. So it's just a bit of evening time to reflect in my journal and offer myself a little praise. And this is where I do my one line a day, so I just make a quick note of the main things that have happened that day, or perhaps things that have happened in the news. And I really like having this alongside my daily journal, which has got more details, just a quick summary of the month. And then this is my YouTube planner, my empty blog planner. Definitely got plans for that for next year. My mood tracker for the month, which again is part of my printables. My Patreon plan for the month, where I plan out the different content I want to release there. And then my weekly and daily plans follow those main monthly pages. So this is where I just have like my mini calendar for the week, so that I don't have to keep flipping back to that main calendar. My meals then, breakfast, lunch, dinner and snacks. My tasks that I want to get done ideally that week. My habit tracker, a mini one of exercise, water, personal development and creativity. And then this next week, sometimes I'll write things in there that I know are coming up the following week, and that enables me to kind of keep an eye on them and perhaps try and do a bit of prep for them through the week. Or then when I get to a Sunday, anything that's still here that I haven't done, I'll put a little arrow there to move them into here, so that when I set up the next week's tasks, I know those need to go straight to the top of my task list. And then behind that, I just have my kind of free flow daily plans and just use as much space as I need for those. And all of these gorgeous washi tapes are from London Gifties. And then all of my weekly and daily plans then kind of just follow that same format. And it's just something that works really, really well for me. And this part I'm not planning on changing for next year at all. But I have got some other things I'm going to share with you. So that brings me up to today when I'm filming this. And I'll now share with you my setup for January. So again, I'm using exactly the same journal. I really like how it's all kind of laid out. You've got your contents page at the beginning, then an undated calendar for the year. So I've already been able to go ahead and put in things like birthdays and a few deadlines that I know I've got coming up. then bigger sections for each month, and occasionally I use that for some goals or content that I know I want to put out during the month. So for my very first page, I've set out my word for the year and I've picked refine. And the reason for that is I'm really happy with everything that I'm doing at the moment. I absolutely love the different things I'm getting to do with Journal with Purpose through collaborations, Patreon, Skillshare classes. And what I want to work on next year is making all of those things kind of the best standard I can possibly get them to. So that's my word and focus for the year. And again then, the artwork I've used in these is from my new Patreon printables and the washies from London Gifties. So that's how my calendar and main task page are looking so far. And then all of the details for this I'll add in at some point before the beginning of January, when when I know confidently how much I've still got left to kind of take over into the new year. So again, my YouTube and blog and my mood tracker, my Patreon plan, and then I'm going back to adding that 10-minute tidy, which didn't happen properly kind of through December, but I want to start that again in January because that worked really well when I started trialing it in November. So I'm hoping to just each day colour in a little block for one of the sections. And then again, nearer the time, I'll set up my weekly and daily plans. So my main bullet journals are staying exactly the same, but there was two things that I really wanted to give extra focus to next year. And one of them is my health and well-being, and I've been trialing this out for a couple of months now. I've not used it, I think, for a couple of weeks, but I'm really happy with how it's set up. So I'm going to be using this again from January. So I've kind of started off with a motivational quote that just to kind of set the tone for what I want to be focusing on. I've done then a little vision board of what this healthy lifestyle will look like to me, along with some of my favourite kind of mantras or quotes in that area. And then I've got the beginning of my journey, some photos, my current weight, my targets, and I've then written a journey of self-love, and I've written down kind of how I'm feeling and thinking about things and how I kind of want this journey to unfold, where it's something where I'm not punishing myself or getting annoyed with myself. It's all about kind of treating myself gently. And it's because I want to make sure I focus on a wide range of things to do with my physical and mental health throughout 2022. And I just think that's probably so important with what looks like the start of another unsettled year. Behind that, I've got my weight loss tracker. And then for each week, I've put out a habit tracker, which is just entirely focused on kind of a healthy lifestyle, my food diary for the week, exercise log for the week, and then a weekly review where I'm going to kind of write about what I've learned and how I've got on. And then what I was doing was some reflective journaling every single evening just on the topic of my health and well-being, because I think it's something that's taken a battering over the last 2 years, and I'm sure that's the same for lots of people. So I really wanted to take just a few minutes to write a few lines every night, and then also think about actions for the next day in terms of how I could make things kind of more positive for myself and keep learning and growing. So I started this back in October, and I carried on with that same format. It worked really well for me, and I'm actually really looking forward to kind of jumping back into this again in January. And I've just tried to keep it really simple for myself. It takes a few moments, obviously, in the evening to write these things down, but I was really getting a great benefit from them when I was doing it. And that was why I wanted to trial it a little bit before the new year, so that I could make any tweaks that I wanted to kind of before we get to the start of January. So that's something that I'm planning to use, and I wanted that to have a separate place to kind of signify to myself the importance of it as much as anything. And then finally, the other thing I felt I was kind of missing in my bullet journal was some of the long-term planning. I was doing it, and I used to do it in my bullet journal at the start of January. But then when I then moved into my next bullet journal, going back and trying to find it, I was struggled with, and I think that showed in my progress with some of my long-term goals. So I've set up another journal just for this. I haven't finished entirely yet, but I'll show you where I've got to. So again, I've started off with a quote, and the washi tapes in here are all from London Gifties. And I've then written kind of my purpose and mission, so just something that's really personal to me, but what I know I want to kind of always be focused on. And then this is where I've put kind of the main areas that I wanted to set some goals for and start thinking about. And again, I've done myself a really lovely vision board for the year. I just find that so exciting to look at. And knowing that I'll always have this journal by my side along with the bullet journal, I know that I'm going to look at this much more often. So I'm really excited about that. Again, some mantras for the year and a reminder of my word. And lots of those mantras and quotes are to do with refining. So that's what I've got set up there. I've then written down long term, what does success look like in each of those areas, and where do I want to be 12 months from now. And then I've now got the headings, but I've not written those out yet, so I'm then going to write where I want to be by the end of June, by the end of March, so that I'm splitting it into kind of 3-month chunks, and then writing some really specific goals and tasks for January. So that's something I'm going to be doing kind of over the Christmas break. And in the same way that I've done the reflections in here, I don't think I'm going to do daily reflections because I don't think that will give me enough time to really make progress on things, but I'm probably going to do a weekly reflections page in a similar way to that I have done with the dailies in there. So I can keep going back and looking at those goals, keeping them really clearly in mind to make sure that I'm focusing on the things that are really important to me. So I really hope, I know it's lots in there, but I really hope you've enjoyed seeing that, and that maybe it's given you some ideas for things that you could use in your own journals, particularly when setting up for a new year. And you know, the way I've set these things up would hopefully work for anything you want to focus on, whether you've got some hobbies or personal targets, that maybe that sort of gives you some inspiration for your journals. Well, I hope you're doing really, really well, and I hope you enjoyed the video. As always, a massive thank you to everybody who's joined me over on Patreon. Thank you ever so much for watching. I look forward to speaking with you really soon in my next video.